go.
It's all good.
Now we got Isaac Punts. Go ahead, bring him in.
Yes, sir.
And
Division II punter extraordinaire and master of the special teams, Isaac Punts. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing great, guys. Thank you so much for having me on.
Hey,
love to get in here
thank
and
you for
talk
joining
some
us.
special teams with you fine gentlemen.
Absolutely.
so
Well,
you're legit a Division II punter.
Yeah, I punted. Well, my story's all over the place, but I started at Division I FCS. I was backing up a guy. He transferred to Clemson. I transferred down D2. From there, did a year where I was middle of the pack, then went All-American. COVID hit, season gets canceled, transfer up. I was a full ride at FBS. I was at UNC Charlotte. They kind of fucked my paperwork a little bit. And,
yeah.
And just been all over the place since then, and did some free agency stuff, had some workouts with some teams, worked out with some scouts, and mostly just trying to spread the good word of special teams because it plays a huge impact. And if you see it the way I see it, you kind of like every game, you're just thinking about, oh, okay, yeah, obviously this guy, he's hitting more touchbacks. He's putting the ball out of the hands of the most dangerous player on the field. I could see how those things are like impacting the game and controlling things that most other people don't recognize. And so I'm just trying to get that out there a little bit,
Are you done? Oh, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead, man.
I was going to mention.
Oh, sorry. We do this all the time. Go ahead.
You're stupid. You're an idiot.
Shut up. You're stupid.
Go
ahead.
Anyways, who's Shania's?
That's my wife.
Oh, that's your wife. That's
awesome.
My wife. Yeah.
she's tuned in right now. She's in the other room right there. She's like right back out that door.
Isn't that nice? Someone that appreciates her husband and supports him. Wouldn't that be what a concept?
Man, you're so bitter.
Listen, my ex-wife, she hated, like, she would hate days like this where she's like, why are you like gone from the family like all day? I'm like, this is no different than a normal day. Like, I'm just working. Okay.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. And then I would be done, and then we'd just sit there and watch HGTV, and we wouldn't even talk. So anyways, you can tell that we're divorced now. But anyways, what was I gonna say? Oh, Isaac, are you done punting? Like, are you done? Is the leg put away now?
It's kind of a bit up in the air right now. Like I just got married. I've got a kid now. We have
Congrats.
a daughter. Wow. So
you're just living the life.
I'm trying to, man.
Mm-hmm.
So trying to get out to all the different, like the process of getting from a free agent to the NFL as a special teamer, punter, kicker, long snapper is like way different than the other position. You don't get like invited to tryouts like everybody else. You have to go to like these separate third-party camps. And then from there, the scouts kind of come to you. And then if you're good enough to get in the circle, there's only like 3 or 4 guys that are constantly being passed around by teams. And they're usually lefties. So like whenever a team's going to play another lefty punter to get their returner some work, they'll bring in a lefty punter, to hit them a couple balls. And
so you're
make
a consultant, basically.
Pretty much. And then if a guy gets injured, they're going to take one of those 4 or 5 guys that are in the rotation. And okay, you're going to, get the move up from here. And, so I'm in out of it for a couple of years now. Haven't been able to sort of break into that rotation. I think, not to kind of toot my own horn, but like probably top 50 punters in the nation, in the world, is kind of where I'm at. But if you're at like that 48 through 50, you're not really getting looks, it's
right. Punter. There's only 32 jobs, right? And there's no backup punter. It just doesn't exist.
Right. There's 32 NFL jobs. There's 8 UFL jobs. There's like 12 CFL jobs, So it's like, okay, now I could try to make a push for like ELF to get some more game film, which is the European League, but do I want to leave my family behind for 3 months? So those are the kind of things I'm considering. So I'm doing a little semi-pro here. It's fun to kind of watch, the dads go out there and crank their head up at a 5-3 hang time punt that's going, 25 yards over their head.
But I would say the one thing that I noticed, like when you go to a real NFL game, like just how far the ball goes, like you just don't know, like especially the throws and the punt, like the punts are amazing. Like it's definitely a skill that I can't do. I can't even drop a soccer ball and kick. Like I'll trip and fall over. It's such a specialized skill. It's amazing what you guys do. Like even to get to your level, like that, dude, it's in a my question is like, how do you punt like a spiral? Like, how do you freaking do that?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say it is a long crafted technique. I'll say that the basic way, in the most layman terms I can say, is if actually I've got a football right here.
Nice. He's always ready to go, boys.
Here you go.
Yep.
I just always keep one of these bad boys around. So if this is how you hold it, right? You want to kind of look sort of near the laces. I'm gonna have to put this microphone down. I always have to hold it. It doesn't have great reception. All right, there's a football. So for me, I'm looking like at this little area right here, sort of like where my right eye is, and I've just got to hit the ball kind of with my foot, creating a cross section. And you kind of see as you just like let it roll, it's gonna roll naturally. So if you hit it dead in the center, it just kind of creates this spinning motion that forces it to sort of turn over. And the spirals, it's obviously the most efficient way to punt. And you can think about it, if you're hitting it here, you're applying pressure to the fattest part of the ball. So you're getting the most bang for your buck with the pressure, because as it pushes up here, it's going to expand here. Where if you go and you put pressure down there, there's not as much give up here, so it's not going to expand as far. But that's the kind of punt you'll see guys hit, where it spins backwards like this when they're trying to get it to, sit inside the 5-yard line.
So there's so what's the deal with when the guy like he basically holds it from the top like that and then kicks it? Like what's the intent of that? Is that to try to get it to check up like a golf shot, or?
Yeah, you're just putting backspin on it. So you're just kind of, the thing about the spiral is it's a little harder to control where that nose ends up, because if you turn one over really good, it kind of comes down like a pass and it can stick and bounce, but that's not the most consistent, because if you hit it flat or if you miss hit it, it's going to come down like this and just go straight to the back of the end zone. So it's pretty much a statistic game. When you hit it end over end, now it's you kind of have a 50% chance of it hitting where that nose is going to hit and come back bounce and lay up. It's not as easy as like a lot of people compare it to a golf shot, because you get the backspin and you don't have as much control, because there's still that chance it hits, because it's an oblong object, so it hits and can bounce forward. But you can get some better luck with it and have it bounce backwards.
Fascinating to me. Like I've never these are like the little intricate things of a football game that we don't like think about. And like this is crazy. So I gotta ask a super loaded question, right? Ooh. So Matt Ariza, like it was, cleared of all charges, clearly either a false allegation or something was amiss. Why is he not on an NFL roster? In your opinion or from what like if you like, just if you have to dance around this, that's fine. But like it was puzzling because the Bills even had an injury. They had multiple injuries to punters, and Matt Ariza wasn't even in any conversation. It's kind of, is it unfair? Is he still poisoned for some reason? Like what's going on?
Yeah, I think with situations like the one he was a part of, not having enough evidence to go through with a trial isn't as much of a, you know what I'm saying, as much of the he's cleared. Like if what he would need is somebody to come out and say, yes, I lied for X, Y, and Z. Like I wanted to extort him or something like that. So I told the truth. So without that, it's just really muddy. And then on top of that, here's always a hot take I had, is Matt Ariza hit in college. He was one of the most fun punters to watch, but he hit a liner down dead center. You know what I'm saying? Which is good. But for whatever reason, guys in college just never ran back and caught the ball. They just would let it bounce over their head. And then, of course, he gets to the preseason game, and the longest leg in college football history has his very first punt. A guy's lined up at 45 yards. So he hits a 60-yarder, 4.2 seconds of hang. Not very good hang, but good enough that the guy can't actually get beneath it and catch it and make a return. So now it goes over his head, bounces for 80 yards. Everybody's calling him the second coming of Ray Guy. When realistically, halfway through the season, look at Ryan Stonehouse. Guys are just lining up under his punts, and number one gross average in the league historically, best of all time, 2 years in a row with Ryan Stonehouse, but third or fourth best net average in the league, because guys just can get under it. So I think that, coupled with the fact that he probably would have just been a pretty good punter and not like an actually insane punter, is sort of my hot take.
So he's not good enough to be worth the headache or the drama.
He's he might give up a punt return touchdown. You know, he puts the ball in the middle of the field. His directional capabilities from college were just never really there. Honestly, his pooch punt, which I think is one of the easiest ones where, you know, you hold it by the top and hit the end over end. He showed he didn't have the best time controlling them. Like, he would not just not give his guys a shot by like it bouncing forwards. He would sometimes hit those directly into the end zone, which is just something you can't do.
Yes, that's a sin, right?
Yeah.
If you're a punter.
Right. I think you can get away with it. Like, if you hit some, like, guys will get on punters because they'll hit it to like the 5 and it just immediately checks in. You can't control the bounce every time, you know. Sometimes you got to take a shot. But he would just sometimes just 2 or 3 yards deep. Can't do that. So I think he had a lot of question marks. He had the talent and hype that teams were going to give him a chance, like the Bills. But, you know, stuff like that comes out and we don't get as much of an acquittal from it as we would want. And, you know.
Wow. Bengal is going to be here later. He's saying he wasn't even the best punter in the draft.
I think Stonehouse was in that class, right?
Stonehouse was in that class. And when I made my draft list, I had Ariza as, I want to say I put him at like the 4th best in the class.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
I didn't have him as the best. I thought Jordan Stout had cleaner hands. He was way better directional. He had also, the other thing too is Jordan Stout did what he did at Penn State. You know, there's something to be said about kicking in San Diego. It's pretty nice weather year round. You're not going to have a lot of wind. You're not going to have a lot of weather.
68 degrees like every day. Yeah.
Exactly. So I had a lot of concerns about, okay, you're going to play in Buffalo. Sounds great until, you know, December rolls around, end of November, December rolls around. That's a different world. It's hard to make a career in Buffalo. It really is.
Who's the best punter in the game right now?
Hands down, AJ Cole. It's not even close. For the Raiders. AJ Cole is doing things I don't think we've ever seen done to a football before. He is demolishing that thing. His directional, like, just go watch him. His directional ability is he is just like pinning people to the sideline. He's had like 5 touchbacks this year, but if you look at him, it's like a 62-yard punt that's a yard away from the sideline at the 1-yard line that just bounces straight through.
It's worth the risk.
So you're saying that he would be better than Shane Leckler, who I call like the godfather of punting?
Yeah. I think AJ Cole, Shane Leckler is just the hammer, right? He just massacres balls straight down the center. AJ Cole is all of Shane Leckler's power with directional ability, and he hits pin punts, he hits misdirection punts. He is the Raiders and their punters is something that is just, we've never seen a team dominate the punting categories like the Raiders have, but AJ Cole is by far one of the best punters we've ever seen. And then right behind him is probably Johnny Hecker. Johnny Hecker, you know,
he's with the Rams, he was amazing.
Yeah. I mean, he broke records for like the highest net punt ever recorded by a team of all time. I'm excited for the Super Bowl. Tommy Townsend. I love watching some Tommy Townsend.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Yeah, I was about to ask like
in this game.
Report.
Yeah.
Okay, scouting report on the punters in this game. Tommy Townsend, hang time king, right? He broke the record for the highest hang time ever recorded in an NFL game. He hit one, it's 5.72 seconds of hang time on a punt. It's about 55 yards. 5.72, guys, if you hit that in practice, everybody is going crazy. Hitting that in a game is absolutely unheard of. You would say breaking 5.0, if you hit like a 5.1, 5.2, people would call that a humongous punt for a game. So 5.7, when I heard it, like, you had the whole specials community was rushing to hand time it to make sure that those reports were accurate, and they absolutely were. Tommy's a freak of nature. He's going to be playing in a dome, so that means we're going to see the best of him. I think Mitch Wishnowsky is better for just all situation type punts. You know, he's Australian. He very well faceted with a bunch of different like styles. He hits the banana ball, which is one that kind of hooks and curves. He hits the pooch punt really well. Yeah. So he's got a lot of cool tricks, but in a dome, when you get to see the best that these guys have to offer, I think Tommy's going to kick the lights out. So they got they got something good going there. On top of that, I heard you guys talking about it earlier. Kadarius Toney coming back. Legend has it, dude can return a punt pretty well. So if he plays in this game, if he plays in this game and he gets his hand on a punt, it's bad news, you know? And the Chiefs punt return scheme is just very sound. We saw it last year when they were playing another Australian punter. He tried to do a little trick punt, right? Didn't go so well for him. Yeah. Guy takes it back to the 5-yard line. So I think we could see something there. On top of that, let's get to the kickers a little bit because that's the elephant in the room, right? Jake Moody, 60% in the postseason, all from 40 to 49 yards. That's tough. You got to have those kicks, you know? Like, I know they're not gimmies, but he's on a bit of a slide. Kicking is a bit of a head game. I don't know where his head's at coming into this game, but I've got to imagine with that extra spotlight being on him, it cannot be good for him. And until he proves he can overcome that in the biggest stages, so far all he's proved is that it is going to get to him.
You know what's crazy is statistically, it doesn't matter whether it's a dome or outdoors, unless it's adverse weather. Like the kickers miss as much in domes as they do outdoors. It's crazy. Like actually, so Will brought that stat to me. I was like, "What? It doesn't make a difference." Like I guess you can get the yips anywhere, and it doesn't matter.
Gary Anderson missed his first field goal in a dome.
Yeah, it's crazy that it just you swing and you miss. I always flip back and forth. Like, how do they miss? And then I'm like, how do they even make? Like, it's it's just, I guess that like your body probably takes over, right? In a high pressure situation, you just rely on all your training, and like I just couldn't imagine the entire weight of the Super Bowl is on your right leg, and if something just goes wrong, but I guess those guys just trust their bodies like so much, like they're just automatic. It's crazy.
A lot of it is you got to understand like the amount of reps that these guys are going to be taking just over the course of their careers. Like it sounds crazy, but then you think the same thing about, how do people even hit a fastball? World Series. It's just kind of like they've done it so much, they're going to connect. Obviously, we have to have a bit higher field goal percentage than most hitters have to have for theirs. But
it's just insane to me that these guys can just put everything aside and not even think about the magnitude and just be like, yep, I'm just going to do my job and it's going to happen. Amazing. All right, I need your prediction, Isaac, on who you think is going to win this game and who's going to have the better punting game overall.
Let's start off with the punting game.
Okay.
I think Tommy Townsend, like I said, he's in a dome. He's in, a stadium that is now seeing a lot of good punting with AJ Cole. He's going to be inspired. Him and AJ Cole are good buds. So they're going to be, so I think Tommy's going to, kick the lights out. He's going to have a 51.4 yard average on 3 punts with a 3 fair catches, 2 inside the 20. Okay. That's the stat line for Tommy. He's going to ball out. But then ultimately, I think final score is going to come down. We're going to say, I almost want to just go like another, you think it's going to be a low scoring game? I'm going to say 17-14 Niners win.
Wow.
This is like a low scoring game, and that's an interesting score.
Yeah, you're only the second person to pick the Niners today, which, a lot of times the contrarian pick ends up being the one, like I remember I think the Rams Super Bowl, everyone was taking the Bengals. A lot of people took the Chiefs last year. It was about 50-50. So, but this year, overwhelmingly, people are taking the Chiefs. But I like your assessment there, 17-14.
I think there's going to be a lot of good defensive play. A lot better defensive play. It's going to come down to a game-winning field goal. Jake Moody is going to be 1 for 2. So he's going to miss his first one, but it's going to come down to him at the end of the game. He's going to ice it. 43-yard field goal.
Nice. Jake Moody with the icer. All right, I got to ask, how tall are you, Isaac? Like, does that make a difference with punting? Does it matter?
Absolutely.
Really?
I am right at 6 foot. So technically my pro day measurement was, and this kills me every time, they had me at 5'11" and 7/8. They would not let me take a breath in or round me up to 6. But I call myself just a flat 6 foot even. I think the average height for an NFL punter is like 6'2.5". NFL punters are huge. The draft is coming up. There's so many tall guys coming. The top 3 guys are like 6'5", man. It's insane.
Jeez.
Wow. That's crazy. To be 6'5" and just fucking hitting rockets like that. That's crazy.
When you're that tall, you only have to touch the ball and it's going to go at least 45 yards. You know what I'm saying? Your levers are just ridiculously long. Kickers, you don't have to be so tall.
What's the longest punt you've ever unleashed, and what's the biggest, longest hang for you? What are your PRs there?
My PR, so my PR is in a game. I don't know my hang time PR in a game. I wasn't tracking those too much because I cared more about effectiveness. But in a game, my PR was 61 in the air, past line of scrimmage, 67 on the after the roll, Of course, all my longest punts happened where they're about to roll into the end zone. So obviously it went 61, hits, and then immediately checks in the end zone. So I don't get all those extra yards. I don't get like the big 80. And then, but PR in the air for just out at practice was I hit a 70-yarder. So I stood at one end zone. I kicked it to the 15 on the other side of the field. I've got that on tape. And then I hit a 5.6 second hang time punt. Just hanging around. So that's what it takes to not make it to the NFL. So just imagine what some of the NFL guys can do, That's all I'm going to say.
Have you worked with somebody has like a 7-second hang time? Something crazy like that?
The highest I've ever seen is 6.1 seconds of hang. And that Tommy Townsend has hit a 6.0 and it was like 6.0.00. Tyler Newsome, he was a free agent that was running around and hit a 6.0, but you guys might remember Chargers legend Drew Kaiser. Maybe not. He was in the league for a couple of years. He's known for like muffing a snap on a field goal, but he hit in his backyard or wherever he was kicking at. He hit a 6.1 second hang time, and to this day, it is the highest recorded hang time I've ever seen. It's the highest one I've ever even seen somebody claim to have hit. So and he has a video of it.
Oh, wait! Someone gave a hundo. There we go.
Hundo, we're doing it.
Thank you, Grounded Falcon.
There you
Appreciate it. Yeah, we raised
Makai Wilson and do it as well. Congratulations.
Yes,
we're doing it for the Alzheimer's Association.
One more question before we let you go. Okay, so say the kicker gets injured, right? He pulls a hammy.
Yeah.
How much field goal practice does a punter actually put in? And I mean, obviously you don't want to practice doing something that's not your job, but you also are essentially the backup. How much do guys even practice at all? Or is it just something where you're just like, I'm out here, I got to do it?
It depends on your situation. We could see what I think the Chiefs had the running back, right? That hit field goal.
Daria Gumbawale with the Texans.
Right.
That was legendary.
Right. So it depends on who else you have on your roster. Sometimes this might be a hot take, but sometimes even more important than the kick is the hold. So if you're the backup kicker, that means you also need to have a backup holder, which means you're working with two backups if one guy goes down, instead of, well, let's just have somebody on our team, somebody on our 53 is going to have a history with soccer. Let's just get him good enough where he can work PATs. And then our hold is going to be on the money every single time. So we don't have to worry about that. Instead of now, well, we've got this guy that has taken 10 reps all year at kicker, and this other guy who's taken 4 reps all year at holder. Now let's put them together in one situation and see how bad that's going to turn out. So a lot of times I think they don't really do it that much. You've seen it sometimes. Like I think Jamie Gillen for the Giants actually had a couple this year.
Yeah, this year was bad for the Giants because we kept injuring it just kept getting worse until Mason Crosby's old ass was out there, and it was just disgustingly
dragged him out of retirement.
Yep. This is an interesting question from WVU. Or worse for a kicker, a backup holder or a backup long snapper?
Ooh, I mean, I would say if you have your starting holder, probably the backup holder is going to be worse. A lot of guys, like, the nuances of holding a football, like the right tilt. So like most kickers, they want the ball slightly towards them and slightly angled forward. And that's just going to do a lot of things with how their foot makes contact with it. A lot of guys, like I might be familiar with Tyler Bass. He's got like a pretty mean his ball hooks a good bit naturally. So that's something he's going to try to aim towards. Like he's going to aim for the left third of the upright and have it kind of, spin in a little bit, for lack of better words, towards the middle. So if he has a different holder that kind of moves that ball, so where now it's going straight or even hooking the opposite direction, that could hurt him a lot more than if the ball freaking rolls back to him. As long as it gets down at the end of the day, that's the important part.
Awesome. Well, Isaac, it was a pleasure having you on. Where can people find you?
You guys can find me right here, Isaac Punts on YouTube, Isaac Punts on Twitter, where I'm just hanging out, talking all things special teams, covering a couple, we got the draft cycle coming up. So if your team's looking for a punter, I got a lot of those videos coming out, in the next couple days.
Awesome.
Nice.
Well, thanks for joining us, Isaac
Thanks for guys having me.
Appreciate it.
All righty.
Thanks.